After a 2.5-week delay due to the government shutdown, we're finally getting a look now at last month's jobs numbers. The Labor Department says employers did add 148,000 jobs in September, enough to drop the unemployment rate to a 5-year low of 7.2%, but low enough to suggest the market was weakening before the latest fiscal crisis. House Speaker John Boehner saying the president has more than a troubled health care website to fix. Does he? Leslie Marshall is the radio talk show host of the LeslieMarshallShow.com. Chris Plant is the radio talk show host of the Chris Plant Show. We can find you both on the radio, guys. All right, so is John Boehner right, Leslie? President Obama has more to worry about than just this glitch problem with healthcare.gov?
Oh, it's wonderful that he admitted that finally, because it's been an obsession by my buddies like Chris Plant over there on the right. I mean, the bottom line is this has been a diversion for the American people, an obstructionist, Mr. Boehner and his party, not only from the American people, but the president and the president's agenda and commitment to the American people.
In what way?
Not only has the president promised improvement economically and to create jobs, but so have the Republicans. They said, hey, elect us to take over the House, which they did and America did.
But
where are the jobs? Where are the jobs they've created?
But the same could be asked by the Republicans, couldn't it, Chris? Where are the jobs from President Obama?
Yeah, it's amazing. This is the responsibility-free administration. That was quite striking. I've never heard that approach before. We're going to blame it all on the House of Representatives. Look, the persistently high unemployment level, above 7%, I believe, for a record number of months under President Obama, and that doesn't actually count all of the people that have exited the workforce and have given up looking for work, whose 2 years of unemployment have run out, who have gone on Social Security disability, which has doubled under President Obama. This is actually, the 7.2 number is a phony number. The real number, the U6 number, is more like 12%, and it's amazing how responsibility-free President Obama is.
But wait a minute, Leslie. I want to be clear that I heard what you said. You believe that the Republicans are to blame for the president not coming up with a plan in months to talk about jobs?
Well, the president, first of all, you know, it amazes me that the party of less big government wants Daddy, who heads the big government, to create jobs. The bottom line is, you've heard just what Chris said. This is what happens when we actually have a practically 5-year low in unemployment numbers. Those numbers aren't right. When the market goes up and the stock futures have risen 39% on the Dow today, those numbers can't be right. What we have to focus on is the shortage in jobs, which the president and Democrats and Republicans together could have worked at creating. But no, there was a freeze and by companies, even my own company, in hiring, because we didn't know. Would the government shut down? How long would that be? Would we go into default?
As I recall, we come full circle back to Obamacare, and what many Americans wanted was the president to talk about jobs when instead he was talking about Obamacare 3-4 years ago. And now we are full circle again talking about Obamacare instead of talking about jobs. But I got to move on to the next topic, which is what will the Republicans and Democrats do as the new cuts of sequester come forward January 15th? And what will the Democratic strategy be, Chris, about taxes? Because do they believe that they won in this battle during the shutdown and now they can force Republicans to have to raise taxes?
Yes, they believe that they won. Yes, the perennial and eternal desire of the Democrat Party is to raise taxes. But of course, once again, it won't be on you. It'll only be on the other guy, just on the evil 1%ers, you know, making all the money on Wall Street, thanks to that $85 billion a month being infused. But that aside, yeah, sure, of course, the Democrats think they won. Of course, the Democrats want higher taxes. And it's just another one of these pre-polarized issues that the Democrats are going to march forward. And they say it won't affect the middle class, but of course it will.
Well, congressional Democrats apparently, Leslie, want Republicans to sign off on $50 billion worth of tax increases to eliminate the sequester cuts. I mean, let's face it, Democrats hate the sequester cuts way more than Republicans, right?
Oh, I wouldn't disagree on that. As a matter of fact, I think where both sides can agree, we need cuts. We need spending cuts. It's where. I mean, for example, when you look at food stamps, which is a very small percentage of what the spending is, and the Republicans say, Chris will say, we want to attack the mean 1%. Well, Democrats view the Republicans as wanting to attack the people who are having the hardest time in America, and that's the lower income and impoverished Americans right now, like those who are recipients of food stamps, those who don't have the jobs or the means to feed their children, to feed their families.
Let me go to immigration for a moment, because the president had signaled that once the shutdown and the debt crisis, the ceiling crisis was settled, that immigration was next on the plate. But right away, some House Republicans who had been in favor of reform came out swinging and said no can do by the way this whole other thing was handled. Chris, is it going to be part of the Republican agenda? Will the president get this done?
Well, Marco Rubio, will the president get it done is probably a separate issue, because honestly, and this is the truth, and this is the scuttlebutt around the city, certainly is that the president and the Democrats see the immigration reform bill as another pre-polarized issue that they have going in as a weapon against the Republicans. Now, certainly Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz, there are Republican leaders who have looked to advance some form of immigration reform, but don't look for any negotiating. The president doesn't negotiate. The president doesn't compromise. The president is seeking to destroy the Republican Party, and the Democrat coalition is in effect a race-based coalition. It's, the black vote, the Hispanic vote. This is how they view America, not as voters, not as taxpayers, but as black voters, as Hispanic voters. And this is a great weapon, another polarizing debate coming up, which I predict will go nowhere, certainly before the midterm elections.
Leslie?
Oh, God. Ted Cruz and the Tea Republicans are destroying your party, and you guys are doing a good enough job on your own. Look at the polls. Secondly, immigration reform is not about polarizing this country or about racism. It's about a reality. The Hispanic population is the fastest growing repopulating population in the United States. The demographics of the voting population in America have changed. As a Democrat, my buddies are going to do very well if you guys ignore immigration reform and election after election. Republicans politically would benefit from immigration reform. You can't ignore over 11 million people, some of which have never broken a law, that have worked here for years and that have been here generationally
You both
for
have great
decades.
points on that, and it'll remain to be seen whether or not the president goes after that reform or not. Leslie, Chris, thanks much.
Thanks.